your emotions in the last 24 hours have had to be very tumultuous.
My emotions in the last 24 hours, I don't think I'm thinking about them in the last 24 hours. For me, they were building up probably in the last 24 weeks. I don't know how many weeks it is, but since October, basically, when I know you mentioned that maybe mainstream media hasn't been focused so much, but actually it is thanks to mainstream media. While we here, Ukrainians, became aware of the buildup of military forces along the borders of Ukraine. It was all presented by Russia as military exercise or whatever that they pursue annually, but it just looked, as my teenage kids would say, kind of sus. It just looked suspicious, didn't look like exercises. Worst case scenarios were thrown out there. Of course, everyone hoped for the best case scenarios in Ukraine. My family, I know my friends' families felt the same way. No one could ever possibly see the worst case scenario happen to fruition. So the tension has been growing. And I probably will speak for all Ukrainian community here. We have been worried. It was in the back of our minds. I know I called my parents probably more regularly. I call them every morning on my drive to work, but probably since about end of December, beginning of January, I was more persistent. Hey, it's time for you, maybe come visit. During COVID, they didn't come. We went there to visit, just nudging them without any worries, but we knew what was happening. My parents were saying nothing is happening, everything is fine. I thought they just didn't want me to worry. I don't know what was happening, and maybe I thought they were in denial, or maybe I thought they didn't know, they didn't have access to information. And then when things started to escalate from Sunday night, when Putin recognized the independence of the breakaway terrorist formations in the eastern territories of Ukraine, and then later said he had a friendship agreement. So that's when it became more real on both sides, and escalated quickly from there. But again, even as of Sunday, even Monday morning, Tuka board wrote a letter, and we wanted to start disseminating it like midweek. And just this morning I had to update it because last nights or this morning for Ukraine, all these attacks and bombings across the line, across the border, from Belarus side, from the south, obviously from eastern occupied territories. It just was all happening all night. Like Ukrainian on Monday, Ukrainians of Hampton Roads created another Facebook page and a chat room. I started it with just 10 of my most confident, closest Ukrainian friends, and now I think we have maybe 90 people there. So it's constant update in real time because people here came from all regions of Ukraine. We have people from Kherson, from Chernivtsi, Zaporizhia, Kyiv, of course, Lviv, Kharkiv, just think Odessa, so many different, really covers all Ukraine. So they all have friends there. So it's like real update. They talk to their family, updates show up on this page. And it's heartbreaking. We get different accounts, different responses. It's really, you don't wish it on anyone. Exacerbated by the feeling of helplessness here. You don't have control of the situation. When I saw it, so Lviv, where my parents are at right now, that's the city I was born in, I grew up. It's the westernmost part of Ukraine, the farthest, more or less, from Russian border. So it was considered the safest area. Embassies and consulates moved there over the last few weeks from Kyiv because, again, the countries who have representation in Ukraine started to get worried about their families, and not families, their embassies, and moving them to safety. And then at 11 p.m., I do get the first account that there actually were cruise missiles. And people were saying maybe diversion, maybe cruise missiles, not confirmed, but yet it happened. Some military installations got hit, just like within 40, 30 minutes drive from the city. My parents live right in the city. I call them, I can't reach them. So it's just, heart is sinking. I did reach them, and they make up some reason that their phone was discharged, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. They don't tell me the full truth because they don't want me to worry. That's what parents do. At the same time, my friends there, they give me more of the account. But I do see, like, even sharing, people sharing in our joint chat, different reactions. Like in Lviv, from my friends, in Kiev, my friends, they stay. They don't leave. They kind of seem, it's like a more managed panic. Maybe they prepared. Everyone was preparing. You know, whether they were saying they'll be fine, they didn't believe it, but everyone was preparing mentally, physically, materially. They just didn't want to believe it, but they were preparing for it. And it hurts. You know, it also, our heart goes out to them, and that's why all the calls to governments, to the allies, to the United States for help, and our organization issues calls for help and support. No one wants war. If war comes to us, we'll defend ourselves. Especially Ukrainians are on their land. It's their land, ancestral land. They're in the right.
Why? Is that why you think so many have stayed there? Stayed there even with the building threat?
I think so. Of course, this also would be idealistic of me. There is a big part of that. For some, there may be feeling that, like what would change? Like, where would you go? What would change? It's hard. Like, how would you feel about it? You know, it's a little easier. Americans are more mobile. In Ukraine, you grew up in your house, and it can be your house for 3 or 4 generations. And 2 or 3 generations may live there. It will be a big house, and everyone is happy. You know, it takes generations to raise new generations. And there are a lot of big cities, big universities like Lviv. Invading a sovereign, independent country is straight up illegal. Breaking agreements and assurances you made just, however, 18 years ago, in 1994, when Ukraine was convinced to give up nuclear weapons after Soviet Union collapsed, Russia and the United States came together in Budapest Memorandum and guaranteed Ukraine's security. They said, like, hey, if someone attacks you, whatever, we'll come to your rescue. So because you're giving up this colossal weapon, and you're giving it up to make us feel safer. So that assurance was given in 1994, Budapest Memorandum, look it up. I know it's easy to forget because US made that commitment, Russia made that commitment. I mean, Russia cannot be trusted, they broke it long ago. But US is still trusted. Like, over and over again, there's expectation you can trust agreements you make. Well, I mean, some parties you can trust, but some you want to trust. And the United States is still being seen as that partner that should and can be still trusted, you know, or should be trusted if you make agreements. And that's why those expectations come over and over again.
I was actually going to ask, I mean, I don't know if you watched the President Biden's speech. I mean, is the U.S. doing enough? What does the U.S. need to do?
For me, again, a lot of my fellow American Ukrainians here, some feel stronger about it, some feel differently. Everyone feels strongly about it and passionately. In my opinion, I do really believe the United States and the allies, by the allies I mean European Union and other non-European, non-American friends, are genuinely interested in Ukraine staying peaceful. Ukraine, just by sheer fact of Ukraine being this really huge country in the middle of Europe, like if you look on the map, it's straight, I don't know how straight, but like basically middle of Europe, very big. If you start looking at how the map of NATO and the EU alliance and Russia, that's where someone may start thinking, oh, how does that all work? And when NATO enlarged, that's back to your question about Putin's motives, but again, I don't want to touch that. But the importance of Ukraine, sheer volume, democratic country, pro-Western values, European values. It's a European country with European values. If the war is in Ukraine, it will not stay in Ukraine. Like even to think about it, like how do you imagine? Some people may say, let's just let them fight their own wars. What is in it for us? Well, in it for you, the conflict will not stay in Ukraine. It will not end there. It will have its butterfly ripple effect throughout Europe. It will cross the ocean, and it will have its not physically, but in some other way, culturally, economically, it will affect everyone. And I think the sentiment right now is that at the moment, the US may not be doing enough. The US may not be doing enough at the moment. The harsher sanctions are desired. We are still waiting on the outcome of the sanctions package from the European Union. As I was driving here, I was looking up to see if because they were meeting a couple hours ago, and I couldn't find what they agreed on, the European Union allies, the European Union countries. They're preparing their package of sanctions, but for sanctions to work, it has to sting badly. It does have to send a message. If you are freezing some accounts here, but those accounts are not really big and significant, it will not sting as much as if you froze your accounts in some other place that are much more significant. But I do believe a lot is being done, and the support is overwhelming. And Ukrainians do appreciate that support is there, but we would like to see more. We are calling on our friends and allies in the United States to do more. Stricter sanctions, cancel the whole Nord Stream 2 project, pipeline project, bring United Nations peacemakers to Ukraine so that you get unbiased view of the situation. Military financial aid, and you know that military and financial aid, it's not given for free. Ukraine has to repay it eventually. So maybe giving it a discount or forgive that debt. Something like that. Things like you can do. Like one of the concerns I heard from my friends, American friends, someone kind of, I don't know if they were really connecting to this, but they were like, oh wow, imagine like if the draft was announced, like would you want like our teenage sons to go? And you know, there hasn't been a draft in this country since Vietnam War. No one is talking about the draft. No one is talking about, hey, let's bring everyone in and send them into this wild territory. You know, no one is talking about that. But we are talking about modern equipment, modern weapons, training, things like that. um, just some of the concerns that come to my mind from the people like myself, here worrying what's in it for us. That being said, the outpouring of my friends' concerns and love and support was amazing. It brings tears to my eyes like every time. Hundreds of messages through Facebook, texts, calls. It's overwhelming. It's really heartening. No, you're not alone. And people asking how we can help. Governments are doing their job, whether it's enough or not. I know they're doing a good job. Is it enough? Maybe not. Can we do better? Yes. Please do better. When is enough? When will it be enough? I don't know when it will be enough. When Russia is out, when there is peace, and no one thinks that invading sovereign state is a good idea ever again. But at the people level, human factor, it's just incredible, the support. At least people I know. And even when people ask, well, what's in it for us? It's an opportunity to explain, to remind, to make connections. And I do appreciate when something like this comes up. Well, I wouldn't want my son to be drafted. No one is talking about that. Ukraine has army. Ukraine has strong army that is on its own land, fully prepared to defend its land. But we do need help with some equipment, some materials, things like that.